Good evening. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer, and my law firm helps immigrants from all over the world and all over the United States now to secure their future in America through asylum. Okay. We have people all over the country. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now I'm using those insights that I gained with 11 years with the US government to help immigrants secure their future in the United States. I'm going to answer your questions. So go ahead and start leaving them in the comments. Okay. But before you do that, say hello. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Always love to hear where you guys are at. So go ahead, say hello, and then ask your questions. Leave your comment, leave your question, and I'm going to answer those questions. Okay. Again, I'm Brian Manning. For those of you just joining us, I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm is based in Texas, but we help people all over the country, coast to coast. All right. Go ahead, say hello. Oh, yeah, there we are. How's it going? Good to see you. Okay, got on TikTok too. We got YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X. Over here, we got TikTok. Hey, guys. Hello from New York City, from the greatest city in the world. We got my man Badru watching from Boston, Massachusetts. Good to see you. As always, Badru, it's always good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right, before I get to your questions, I want to say a few words about a huge asylum myth, okay? This is one of those things that so many people believe. Now, I got to tell you, it's reasonable, it's understandable that people would believe this particular U.S. asylum myth, but I got to tell you, it's pretty damaging because a lot of people, a lot of asylum applicants go out of their way and spend a lot of time trying to do this certain thing when it's really not going to help their case at all, okay? And that detracts from their ability to explain the parts of their case that really matter. Because you see, part of presenting a solid asylum case, both in writing and then during your interview or immigration court hearing, is knowing what to focus on. Oh, that was a nice heart thing on TikTok. Thanks for that. That was cool. Knowing what to focus on, okay? You don't get to control the conversation, neither at the asylum office nor an immigration court, okay? You're going to be asked a bunch of questions and you've got to answer them. You don't get to just sort of tell your story. So in the chances that you do have to talk, you've got to really focus in on the most important stuff and find ways to get out there, to get on the record, the most important things about your case that show that you meet all the different requirements for asylum, okay? If you spend your time on stuff that doesn't matter to the asylum analysis, you're not doing yourself any favors, all right? So what is this myth that has to do with all this stuff I've been talking about, all right? The myth is this: oh, if the asylum officer or the immigration judge just knows how great of a person I am, then I'm going to win my asylum case, or at least it's going to help me win my asylum case. So here's what happens, both on their written materials and then with what they say. People so often want to show the judge or the officer that they're a good person, or that they're an educated, sophisticated person, or that they've got this great job, or maybe they own a business and so they employ American citizens in this business, so they're doing good things for the community. Maybe they do community service and they help people in need in their community. All of this stuff, which is great, right? And which, yeah, it does generally speaking help to create a favorable impression of a person, and that's a good thing normally, right? It's true, it's all true, it is good, but it doesn't help you win your asylum case, okay? These asylum officers and immigration judges don't care about that stuff, okay? Listen, these people are overworked. These are really hard, demanding jobs that asylum officers and immigration judges are doing. And they just want to get to the point, okay? They want to cut to the chase, as we say, all right? They are really just interested in the things that directly have to do with whether you meet the different requirements for asylum, okay? Now, there's three key things for getting asylum. Remember this, okay? There's lots of things that go into an asylum decision, of course, but there's three key things. Whether you have been harmed in the past in a manner that is sufficiently severe to rise to the level of persecution. Is the harm bad enough to count as persecution in the way that that term is used in the U.S. asylum law context? So is there past persecution? Number two, are you likely to be persecuted in the future? What is there that makes the judge or officer think that, yeah, you're a real serious risk of being very badly hurt in the future, of being persecuted in the future? And then the third key to asylum is something called nexus. And this is just basically a fancy word to say motive or reason. What is the reason that the persecutors are targeting you for harm? Why are they persecuting you? Because you see, it's not enough to show that you're likely to be persecuted. Rather, the officer or judge needs to be convinced that the persecutors are going after you because you possess one of the 5 protected characteristics under US asylum law. Those are your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, and something called membership in a particular social group. Okay. So those are the 3 keys. Was there past persecution? In other words, what has happened to you? Show the details that show how bad you've been harmed. Okay. Are you likely to be harmed in the future, persecuted in the future? What is there that we can use from the facts of your situation to convince the judge that, yeah, you're at serious risk? Okay. And third, what's the reason for the harm? What's the motive? We're going to show them that it has to do with the fact that you possess one of those 5 protected grounds under US asylum law, or at least the persecutors think that you possess one of the 5 protected grounds, because this is called an imputed opinion or an imputed protected characteristic, and that works for getting asylum too. So, for example, let's say that some bad guys are after you because they think that you are, let's say, gay, and they harass you and mess with you. They're going to harm you because of that. Well, even if you're not really gay, that would still work for you to get asylum, because being a member of the LGBTQ plus community fits in that 5th box, that 5th protected characteristic called membership in a particular social group. So even though you don't actually possess that characteristic, if they think that you do, and that's why they're harming you, then you can qualify for asylum. So those are the things you're focusing on, all right? When you try to fit in all this stuff into the conversation or into your written materials about how great you are, or, all these reasons that make you look good in general, like that, that's good stuff, but no, this is not the time for it, okay? You've got to focus in like a laser beam, okay, on only the stuff that shows the officer or judge that you meet the different requirements for asylum. And you need to be intimately familiar with what those requirements are so that you know how to focus in on them, to address them, to show the officer and judge what they need to see, okay? I told you the 3 biggest keys to winning asylum just now, but of course, there's a lot more to it than that, as you know by now. All right, that's what I wanted to say. Let's go to the questions and comments. Okay. On TikTok, it says, okay, if I get a green card based on, who's this? Abdul says, if I get a green card based on my asylum case, after that, can I go to my home country? So thanks for the question, Abdul. I appreciate it. So the question is, after you win asylum and then you get a green card based on your asylee status, can you then return to your home country? Well, you may have heard that you probably won't get asylum if you fled your country, but then you return back to your country, right? Or if you go back there while your asylum case is pending and then come back to the United States. Or after you win asylum, if you travel to your home country, then you come back as an asylee while you still have asylum status, you might not be let back in, and they might even take away your asylee status and deport you. Well, this question is kind of building off that and saying, okay, one step further, after getting asylum, then you get your green card. At that point, is it okay to travel to your home country, the country from which you sought asylum? The answer is no, it's not okay. You probably will have problems. When you come back to the United States, you might not be let back in the country. Okay, they may start expedited deportation proceedings against you. Okay, so most immigration lawyers will tell you that you need to wait until you become a U.S. citizen before you can pretty safely go back to your country, safely in terms of it not messing up your status back in the United States. Okay, thanks for the question, Abdul. All right, we've got. All right, we've got. Is this Ali? Yeah, who says, hi, can I apply for NIW after I applied for asylum? He's in Austin, Texas. Howdy in Austin. We're based in Texas. Good to see a fellow Texan there. All right, thanks for the question. So the question is, can you apply for a national interest waiver after having applied for asylum? The answer is that, yeah, just the mere fact that you've got an asylum application pending is not going to keep you from getting any other kind of status. However, including this NIW that you asked about. However, it can be a bit trickier than that, okay? There's some gray area here, and there's some important timing considerations for being able to go from asylum pending, which is not technically a status, to get some other kind of status. So you should talk with a lawyer who focuses on the kind of status that you're trying to get. So if you're trying to get a national interest waiver, you need to talk to a lawyer who focuses on that, okay? Because they're going to be best positioned to analyze the facts of your situation and tell you whether they think there's a good chance that you can get that thing that you're seeking in light of your immigration history. But the good news is I can tell you that the mere fact that you've applied for asylum won't in and of itself keep you from getting any other kind of status here, okay? Thanks for the question. All right, we've got, I said, Gina, watching from New York. Got several folks up in New York. I love New York City. So Sister B on YouTube says, where's your office if I want to meet you in person? We don't do in-person meetings or really anything until the moment of an asylum interview or immigration court hearing. When those are in person, we're there in person. When we travel, wherever we need to go across the country to get that done. But before that, we don't do anything in person. So to answer your question, our office is based in Texas. Our office is based in Houston, Texas. We have employees in different places in the US and some abroad, but we don't do any kind of case development or even preparation in person, okay? Even for people that are in Texas. It's all done virtually. We do it by video conference and telephone, and we do stuff online with Google Drive for sharing documents and whatnot and working on the case. I can tell you this is a great way to work, all right? It does not, I know there's a lot of people who want that in-person touch. They want to feel that connection through the in-person meeting. I understand that. That's completely understandable. But I can tell you, I don't think doing it virtually is going to detract from what we're going to do in your case. It's not going to make our work on your behalf any less effective. Okay, we're good at this. We're good at doing it remotely, and we get good results. So if you want to talk with us about that, about whether we might be able to help you in your asylum case, then go online. Go to winasylum.com. 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 That's where you can schedule a consultation, or as we call it, an asylum strategy session. When you go there, for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, it's going to look like this. It's super easy to schedule it. It's just a matter of a few clicks, finding a time that works for you, selecting whether you want to have the conversation with us by video conference or telephone, and then you're sorted, you're scheduled, and we'll send you some reminders. And if it's going to be by video conference at your choice, then we're going to send you a link to the video conference room. All right. It's super easy. Go to winasylum.com. The good thing is right now we're offering free consultations. Okay. We didn't used to do that. We used to charge. Right now they're free. I can't guarantee that's going to last forever or how long it's going to last. Right now it's free. So if you've been thinking about possibly talking to an asylum professional about your situation, now's the perfect time to schedule a consultation with us. We'll talk with one of our asylum professionals. We'll analyze your situation. We'll see what's going on, and we'll tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we'll tell you what exactly we're going to do to help you. Now, this is key because most immigration lawyers you talk to, they're not going to give you concrete things that they're going to do to help you win your asylum case. Why? Most of them don't do much to help you win your asylum case. I was actually shocked and honestly saddened when I was an asylum officer with the government, when I learned that most immigration lawyers don't do really much at all for their clients. It became apparent to me that most of them just help a little bit with the asylum application form, and that's about it. That's not enough. I'm telling you, that's not enough to help you win your asylum case. It's not enough to put you in the best possible chance to secure your future in America through asylum, okay? There's a lot more that you can do to give yourself the best possible chance to win your case. And that's what we want to do for people. That's what we do for our clients every single day. All right. All right. Let's go to the next question. Let's go. Gina had another question that I want to get to. So she said, hi, Brian. They said, hi, Brian. Is it possible to get an interview faster? How long is the processing time to get the interview? Thanks for the question. The question is, how long is it going to take to get your asylum interview after you apply for asylum? And Is there anything you can do to speed it up and make it go faster? I don't know how long it's going to take. All right. This is impossible to predict. Right now, we're talking about affirmative asylum applications with USCIS, not the immigration court cases. So with USCIS, it's impossible to tell. They're trying to do them quickly. Their policy is to try to do it as soon as possible. And for a long time, for a while, it was fast. There was a period where people were getting their interviews about 2 months after applying. But in the last year or so, it hasn't been like that. It's been taking longer. Long story behind it, but it boils down to the fact that they have to prioritize doing credible fear interviews, and that pulls resources. It pulls asylum officers away from affirmative asylum interviews, and it creates a backlog. So you got to go into it knowing that it could be a long time. It could still be quick. I'm still hopeful for people that are applying right now that it could be quick, but psychologically you need to be prepared for a long wait, so possibly several months, possibly even years. What can you do to speed it up? If you have emergency humanitarian circumstances at issue for you or eligible family members, then that can be a reason to ask to speed it up. If you get to where you've been waiting for 3 years or more for your asylum interview or for your decision after your interview, then you can sue the government in a mandamus lawsuit to force them to take action on your case. And we love doing that. Thanks for the question. Speaking of mandamus lawsuits, if you don't know, you need to know. This is where you sue the government and you're asking a federal judge to tell the asylum office that they need to give you your interview, that the delay in your case is unreasonable. So they should give you your interview right away. Okay. And this is a very powerful tool. It works extremely, extremely well. If you've been waiting about 3 years or more, then we think that you're in a pretty good position to have success for this. So how does it work? You file a lawsuit in a federal court. The government, from the time that you serve them, which means like you send a copy of the lawsuit and some court-created documents to them, they have 60 days from the time that they get this packet from you. They have 60 days to go back and tell the judge what their position on the case is. And very often near the end of those 60 days, they call me and they say, oh, Brian, you know what? We don't really want to fight this case. This one's really not important to us to fight. So, if your client will agree to drop the lawsuit, we'll give them the interview and the decision soon, okay? And that's how this gets resolved. We put a pause on the lawsuit proceedings. Our client has the interview, they get the decision, and then we agree to dismiss or to do away with the mandamus lawsuit because we got what we wanted, okay? And this is very effective. It's extremely effective. Just ask Badru. Badru was on here. Badru watching from Boston. Ask Badru about that. It's super effective. We've got Hamza. It says, hi from New York. Thank you for the information you're giving us all the time. My pleasure. Hamza, thank you for commenting. I appreciate that. It's my pleasure. All right. This is interesting. Pretty happy, not extremely happy, but pretty happy on YouTube says, I applied for asylum and I forgot to put my unpaid internship under the section where I have to put my work history. Will that be an issue? Thank you for the question. The question is, what happens if you forget to put some of your work history on your asylum application form? Is it going to be a problem for you? Okay, so, on the asylum application form, one of the things you have to fill out is your work history, every single job you've had for the last 5 years. And for some people, this is a lot. Some people change jobs frequently, so they've got several of these to list. And you've got to list a bunch of details about them, so it's kind of overwhelming in some cases. Well, what if you forget one? Like, what if you forget something like, for example, in this question, an unpaid internship? It's questionable as to whether that even needs to go on there. I would say yes. I would err on the side of putting an unpaid internship on the list. But if you forget about that or even a normal paid job, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. At your asylum interview with the asylum officer, they're going to go through your asylum application form with you, and they're going to ask you almost every single question on the form. It's not like that in immigration court. In immigration court, you can just ignore this. It's like it's not going to come up unless it has something to do with your case. You don't need to go out of your way to tell the judge about an unpaid internship in immigration court. At the asylum office, the officer's going to actually ask you, like, okay, did you have this job? Did you have this job? When did you stop that job? Do you have any other jobs? And you can say, oh, officer, yeah, I forgot this one, and be prepared to give him the data, or the officer, him or her, the data that the form asks for. The month and year that you started, month and year that you stopped, the employer's name, location, and your position or title with the company. Okay. Thank you. Oh, good question. So Saeed says, you are so dedicated. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for commenting, Saeed. Asylum officers, the interview is an interrogation. I mean, the same tactics that officers do to trick someone, do asylum officers do that? Thanks for the question, Saeed. The question is whether your asylum interview is going to be like an interrogation. Is it going to be similar to what you see on TV with the police station interrogation, where the officers are maybe playing good cop, bad cop, and using deceptive techniques to sort of try to trick you or trap you into saying things that are going to hurt your case? The answer is, actually, it is kind of like that sometimes. Yeah, there are a lot of asylum officers who are just looking for excuses to deny people, okay? And they're trying to look for things that are or look like inconsistencies. Like, oh, in your declaration, you said that this event happened on X date, but now today you're telling me at the interview that it happened on Y date. Can you explain this difference? Why the inconsistency? They're looking for little things like that. And sometimes they'll play word games with you to try to sort of trip you up and trap you with your own words, and to be able to point out and be like, oh, it looks like another inconsistency. Oh, there was too many inconsistencies in your case. Therefore, you're not credible. Therefore, you're denied. So the point is, yeah, there are a lot of asylum officers that play little games with you and are looking for ways to trip you up. So you've got to be prepared for that. Thanks for the question. So the next question, the question is, how do you prepare for your asylum interview? It's going to be intense, right? The officer doesn't just let you explain your story, okay? They don't let you just sort of talk and explain your case. Rather, they're going to ask you question after question after question. They're constantly interrupting you. They're changing topics frequently. And some of them are anti-immigrant, and they're just looking for excuses to deny you. They're trying to trip you up. But with the right preparation, you can go into your interview with confidence. You can go in prepared and ready to do a great job. We do that through a practice interview. It starts with a full-scale mock interview that we do with our clients, where you're going to experience everything that you'll experience on the day of the real interview. All the procedures, all this stuff is the same, okay? And a lot of the questions are going to be, yes, the same questions you're going to get on the day of your real interview. And then after that, we'll do a debrief session where we go over how you did, and we give you feedback and maybe some tips about just how to be clear, how to express yourself in an impactful way. And this is probably one of the most important parts of our entire work with our clients, is this practice interview and feedback session, these two sessions that we do, okay? So that's how we help our clients do a great job at the interview, go into it with confidence and prepared and ready to do a great job, okay? If you don't have a lawyer, well, if you have a lawyer, they're probably not going to do this with you. Most lawyers don't do a full-scale practice interview. They'll be like, don't worry, we'll meet up 15 minutes before your interview, and I'll go over it with you in the lobby. I'll tell you like what they're going to ask you. It'll be cool. Don't worry about it. Come on. That is not enough. That is insufficient. Okay. Most lawyers just do not put the time and effort into preparing the case and preparing the client in the way that they need to give them the best possible chance for asylum success. Okay. You got to do more. So if you're looking for a lawyer, ask them, what are you going to do for me? Okay. What are you actually concretely going to do for me? Okay. For people that are applying for asylum, we're doing three key things. First is the application, okay, the packet that we're going to submit to apply. You got to do that correctly, okay? You got to set the stage properly. Second is the asylum roadmap. This is a packet that we're going to send into the court or the immigration office, the asylum office, that has documents that show the officer or judge how to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible, okay? It consists of a declaration from you explaining your story, explaining your case, evidence that we're going to recommend that you try to get, and a legal brief in which we explain how you qualify for asylum, connecting the dots, applying the facts to the law, and making persuasive arguments about why you should win your case. That's the second step. The third step is preparation. It's the practice interview and the debrief session afterwards. And then, of course, we're going to represent our clients at their interview or court hearings to advocate for them and ensure that the decision maker understands how they meet all the requirements and to ensure their rights are protected. That's what we do for our clients. If you want to get in touch with us, you can give us a call. I'm going to put the number on Facebook, YouTube, on the screen right now. For those of you on TikTok, first of all, go to YouTube. YouTube is where you're going to find all my best stuff. Okay. I've got some very detailed trainings about asylum, about things that are going to help you to do a better job at your interview or court hearing. Okay. Go to YouTube and search for political asylum lawyers. On TikTok, go to YouTube and search for political asylum lawyers. That's the name of my YouTube channel. And then once you're there, look at the playlists. Okay. Go to the playlists, and probably the most helpful one is going to be one that says full-length asylum trainings. That's where you're going to find detailed trainings that are really, I think, going to help you increase your chances for asylum success. All right. So give us a call, or you can go to winasylum.com. It's WINASYLUM.com. And that's where you can just quickly and easily schedule a consultation with us, okay, to talk with one of our asylum professionals about your situation. So we help people all over the country, coast to coast, and we help people both at USCIS and in immigration court. We help people who have not yet applied for asylum. We help people who have already applied for asylum, okay? If you've got an asylum case or you think you might want to apply for asylum, you should talk with us, okay? Give us a call. Right now, those consultations are free. So I hope you'll take advantage of that and go to winasylum.com today and schedule that consultation, okay? All right, let's see. Okay. Nice. All right. Good question. Ehsan, sorry if I mispronounced it, says, is it the same applying for asylum with a lawyer and applying yourself and hiring a lawyer later? Thanks for the question. So the question was, is there really any difference in hiring a lawyer before you apply for asylum versus hiring them later? In other words, is it okay to just apply by yourself and then hire them, the lawyer later, maybe before your interview or court hearing? Or do you really need to hire them from the beginning? Well, hiring a lawyer at any point is better than not hiring a lawyer. Let's get that out there first and foremost. But yeah, I got to say, you're going to put yourself in much better shape by hiring a lawyer before you apply for asylum, before you even submit the asylum application form, because it matters. How you craft your case, how you frame your case in that asylum application form and the materials with it matters, okay? You're setting the stage. You're laying the groundwork for the rest of the case. And yeah, it's true that you're going to do a lot more later to further explain the case in writing. I hope we do that, at least with our clients. But it's not good if you make mistakes in your asylum application or your materials that you submit with it. Okay, you then have to sort of clean that up later, and that's not always so easy to do, or maybe not possible to do. So the point is, yeah, you can gain a lot of value by just starting out with a lawyer rather than saying, oh, I'll apply by myself and then I'll get a lawyer later. Now, don't do that. If you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, then hire a lawyer from the very beginning of your asylum case. All right. All right. Okay. Nice. All right. So Kay on YouTube says, hello, Brian. I applied for asylum. I'm waiting for my interview now. My company wants me to travel to Saudi Arabia for work for a couple of months, or maybe in a couple of months, or to work for a couple of months, I guess. Can I go and come back? And what are my options now to come back? So if you leave the United States while your asylum case is pending and you do not first get a document called advanced parole from USCIS, then there is a presumption that your asylum case has been abandoned, meaning like, oh, the person doesn't want to pursue asylum anymore, so we're going to close the case out. We're going to throw it away. If you get this advanced parole, then that's not how it works, and you should be able to get back in. If you leave without advanced parole, you're not going to be let back in the country unless you have a valid visa. But even then, you might not be let back in because you've applied for asylum and you've shown the government, hey, I'm trying to stay here like long term. And that kind of intent is inconsistent with how a tourist visa is supposed to be used. So the point is this: if you want to leave the country and come back, you need to get advanced parole. You can apply for that with USCIS. It takes a long time. It's last I checked, it was like a year and a half or something to actually get that approved. So it's something that you'd have to do like way ahead of time. You can in some cases ask to expedite it, to have them hurry it up. But being gone for 2 months, I think, is a bad idea, because you might get your asylum interview during that time. You might get the letter that says, hey, interview scheduled. And that letter only comes at most like 2 weeks before the actual interview date. So you don't want to miss that. I would never go overseas for more than 2 weeks. And I would only do that if I had advanced parole. Okay. Interesting. Ahmad says, hello, sir, from Virginia. My asylum case was closed by USCIS. What does that mean? Thanks. That's interesting. Thanks for your question. The question is, why would USCIS just close an asylum case? What does that mean? Well, it could mean different things. All right. They sometimes do it if they think that you've intended to abandon your asylum case. Well, here's the thing. The letter that you get from USCIS that says your case has been closed should explain why it's been closed, okay? If you get a green card, it's a very common example. Like, say you got a green card through marriage or through employment. When they see that, they say, oh, we assume that this person doesn't want to pursue asylum anymore because they have their green card, their permanent residence. They're supposed to then send you a letter that says, we intend to close your case, administratively close your case, unless you write back in the next, I think it's 16 days and tell us, or no, I think it's a month for this, 30 days, that you want to keep your asylum case open and keep pursuing it. That's another thing that could be an issue here. But without knowing more, it's impossible to tell you exactly what happened in your case. If you never got any kind of letter saying that, but rather you just figure that out by going to like the case status site and it says closed, you definitely need to get in touch with them to try to figure it out. And then you need to talk with an asylum lawyer about what your options may be now that that's happened, okay? You should definitely talk with an asylum lawyer. Call us, okay? The number is 713-909-0401. Again, 713-909-0401. Better yet, go to winasylum.com. Okay, go to winasylum.com and schedule an asylum strategy session today, all right, so that we can talk about what's going on and see whether we think we can help you secure your future in the United States through asylum. And we'll tell you how we aim to do that with concrete steps we're going to take to help you present the strongest asylum case possible, okay? All right, so Marwan says, I applied for asylum on December 7, 2023. When do you think my asylum interview will be scheduled? Just an estimate. Quick question, can I apply for my job permit a month before it is due? Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. So the question is, actually, there's two questions. And the first one I addressed in detail a second ago about, what is the timeline? When are you going to get your interview with USCIS after applying for asylum with the Asylum Office? And the answer to that is, I don't know. It's impossible to predict. It could still be soon for you, Marwan. It could still be in the next month or two, but it could be much longer. So psychologically, you got to be prepared for the fact that it may be a long time still, okay? And your second question was, can I apply for my job permit a month before it is due? Not sure what you mean when you say a month before it is due. What a month before what is due? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'll address what I think you're asking anyway. So the question is, when can you apply for a work permit based on your pending asylum case? There's a lot of confusion out here around this very important question. Believe me, everyone wants to know about this because it matters to your life, right? The ability to work and provide for yourself and your family is super important. So a lot of people will say, including some immigration lawyers who just aren't very up to date, up to speed with this asylum stuff, they'll say, oh, it's 180 days. You can't apply. You can't send your application until you've been 180 days in the United States after having applied for asylum. That's wrong. The government can issue they can't issue your asylum-based employee authorization document, EAD, that's a work permit. They can't issue it, actually give it to you until 180 days have passed after you apply for asylum, but you can apply for it at 150 days. If you apply at only 149 days after applying for asylum, your work permit application will get rejected. But if you apply at 150 days or more, then they can adjudicate it. You won't actually get the approval until you reach 180 days. Usually it takes them a month or 2 months to do this the first time. The first time an asylum seeker is applying for a work permit, it's fast. It's usually 1 or 2 months after you send the application form, which you can do online through your My USCIS account. You can create an account with USCIS. It's called a My USCIS account, and you can apply online. You should apply online, okay? All right. Josephat said, hey, Josephat, good to hear from you. Says, can I get a green card while in deportation proceedings? Yeah, there are. The question is, can you get a green card while you're actually in deportation proceedings? And the answer is, yeah, there are some circumstances under which that can happen. The immigration judge can adjudicate, can consider and make a decision on certain application forms. So, for example, if you marry a U.S. citizen and you're in deportation proceedings, you can apply for your green card through Form I-485 while you're in deportation proceedings, and the judge can consider that. USCIS, part of that, it's kind of a two-step process to get a marriage-based green card, right? There's a I-130 petition, Form I-130 petition, that goes to USCIS. Once that's approved, the immigration judge can consider the other application, Form I-485, and give you the green card in immigration court. Or if it looks like you have a route to a green card, like you're probably eligible for one based on some kind of circumstance, then this may be a reason that you can get the prosecutors from ICE to agree to dismiss your case, to just like drop the deportation case against you, after which you would go and apply for with USCIS for the green card, okay? And whether to try to push forward and get a green card in deportation proceedings with the judge or to try to get your case dismissed and then apply with USCIS can be a sort of a tricky decision, something that you should talk about with your asylum lawyer, Joseph, if you think that might be a possibility for you. All right, thanks for asking. All right. Mickey says, check Facebook questions, please. Mickey, did you leave questions? Oh, yeah. Okay, Mickey's asking about a C1D issue, which is like for crewmen on ships. Mickey, this is a question about, marriage-based green cards. That's not my specialty, man. I do asylum. I'm going to leave that one alone. All right. So here's my thing. If you have a heart problem, you don't go see a brain surgeon or a neurologist, do you? No. You go to a doctor who focuses on the heart, a cardiologist. You go to a specialist who spends all of their time on that thing that you have the problem with, on the problem that you need solved, okay? I don't do immigration cases outside of asylum cases. Okay, there's one other case we do, which is where an asylee, someone who's gotten asylum, is then eligible for a green card. We help them apply for that green card. Outside of that, no, we don't do other stuff, okay? Because I want to focus and get really, really, really good at this one thing. I want to be the best. I want to be the best asylum lawyer. And so my law firm, we focus on asylum every single day, all day long. We're doing asylum. It's a complicated area of law. It's a complicated subset of immigration law. If your attention is divided and you're trying to do 20 different things, you're going to get behind. You're going to fall behind and not be up to date on asylum. Asylum is tricky, okay? And the policies around it are constantly changing. And so if you're not doing it every single day, all day, I don't think you're as good as you can possibly be as an asylum lawyer. And so that's what we do as asylum. So, if you have a potential employment-based immigration case, like you might be able to get a green card, you think, through an employer, talk to an immigration lawyer who focuses on that, on employment-based immigration. Marriage-based immigration, talk to a lawyer who focuses on marriage-based immigration. And by the way, stay away from the lawyers who claim that they do everything, okay? If an immigration lawyer does all kinds of immigration law, I don't think they're very good at any of them probably, okay? All right, thanks for the question. All right, we've got Bali Holly Digest says, is forced abortion in an intercaste marriage from the girl's family considered persecution for asylum? Um, well, first of all, if that happened to you or someone you know, I'm incredibly sorry to hear about that. That's really tough. I'm really sorry. So the question is whether a forced abortion is something that can qualify someone for asylum. And in the context of this question, it was done by in the context of an interclan marriage. So can this help you win asylum? Probably. I need to know more to tell you with more confidence. But the harm of being forced to have an abortion, that's definitely sufficiently severe to rise the level of persecution. So then the key question is whether that persecution is on account of or motivated by the fact that you, as an asylum applicant, possess one of the 5 protected grounds: your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. And if there's like this inter-clan dynamic, who put sunglasses on me on TikTok? Well, I'm talking about a serious subject. If it's an inter-clan conflict, yeah, it's probably going to be able to fit into one of those boxes. Okay, I need to know a lot more details to tell you whether I think there's a good argument to be made with regard to nexus, to whether it's on account of or motivated by the fact that you possess one of the 5 protected grounds under U.S. asylum law. But I mean, long answer short, yeah, there's probably a pretty good case there. Again, I'm really sorry if that happened to you or someone you know. We should talk. Okay, give us a call so we can get more detail and tell you really with more confidence whether we think we can give you a real chance for success with a case like this. Okay, TikTok, go to my profile page on YouTube and Facebook. You're seeing that number at the bottom of the screen now. Better yet, just go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. You don't have to deal with anyone on the phone. You can just quickly and easily schedule your consultation with us. It looks like this. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, it looks like that. It's super easy. It's quick. It's easy. You can get set up with one of our asylum professionals in a hurry. Okay. I checked, I think yesterday, and we still had some availability, I think at the end of this week, a few spots. I don't think there was many. So if you want to talk soon, jump on it. Okay. And we would love to talk with you. Okay. All right. Interesting question from David. Says on YouTube, is there an issue if one gets medical treatment for a serious issue while applying for asylum? Oh, and there's an and. I didn't see. David, what's the rest of your question? I don't see it. David, let me know the rest of if there's more, let me know the rest. So, but right now the question is there an issue if one gets serious medical treatment? Okay, thanks. So the question is, will receiving medical treatment for a serious medical issue in any way impact your pending asylum case? And the answer is no, it won't. I mean, the fact that you've got an illness or the fact that you are getting medical treatment for it doesn't really have any bearing on your asylum case. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you meet the requirements for asylum. Now, I can tell you though, if you're not feeling well, or if you're on medications that can affect your memory or your cognition, or make you drowsy or whatever, that could affect your ability to perform well at your interview, your ability to understand and answer questions and tell your story, explain your case in a convincing way. So, that's actually one of the questions they usually ask at the asylum interview is, hey, are you on any kind of medications, or is there anything going on that could affect your ability to understand or answer my questions today? And they ask that so that the person can't try to have an excuse later if they get denied and be like, oh, well, I was sick that day and I couldn't, I was groggy because I had taken Sudafed or something like that. They want to sort of preempt any kind of arguments for excuses like that. So they ask about that often. So keep that in mind. And if you do come to your asylum interview and you're feeling like that, you can ask to reschedule. They'll give you one reschedule for free, like meaning it won't prejudice you, it won't hurt your case if you ask to reschedule one time. Okay. Interesting question. Yabsira says, do I need family identification for my parents who are not in the United States, but I had to write their name on the parent section? If yes, since I don't reach them, what kind of document should I find? Thank you for asking. Good question. The question is whether you need to provide documentation to identify or identity documents for people that you list in the asylum application, like your parents. This was the question about parents, right? So, on the asylum application form, there's a section where you have to list your parents' names. And this person's wondering, well, I listed their names, but do I need to provide a copy of their passport or their national ID or something because I'm not in touch with them and it would be hard to get that? The answer is no, you don't have to provide any kind of documentation for your parents or siblings that you are talking about. In fact, even for your spouse and children, if they're not dependents in your claim, like if they're either not in the United States such that they cannot be included in your claim, or if they're here, but for whatever reason, you're not including them as dependents in your case, then you don't need to provide any documents for them either. But if you want them to get asylum through you, and you in your case, you do then have to show their identity and their relationship to you. This is usually done with a passport or a national ID that shows their identity. And for your spouse, a marriage certificate, or for your children, a birth certificate, okay, that shows the qualifying relationship with you, the principal asylum applicant. Great. All right. Let's go to TikTok. Okay. I almost dropped the phone on TikTok. Let's see. Thanks for that. No, very nice. Okay, I got it. This is interesting. So we've got a question from Leo who says, during the time that you were working as a USCIS officer, did you get a letter against an asylum applicant, like a poison pen letter, and doesn't have any impact on the case? Thanks for the question. The question is, when I was an asylum officer, did I ever come across a poison pen letter? And if so, did it affect the case? So what's a poison pen letter? This is a letter that someone sends in to the asylum office or to immigration that has negative information about someone who's applying for the immigration benefit. So it's like, oh, this asylum seeker, he's lying to you. Those things that he said didn't happen. He's a bad guy or whatever. Anything that's like negative about them. That would be what's called a poison pen letter. I did see some of those. Yeah, I saw a few of those when I was an asylum officer. I used to work for the government. First, I was a diplomat, and then I was an asylum officer at the Houston Asylum Office. And I did see that sometimes, yes. Does it affect the case? Not too much. Well, let me rephrase that. There is a chance that it will be considered, that it will be looked into. The asylum officer might pass it over to the fraud division called Fraud Detection and National Security. FDNS is like a group within the asylum office that looks out for fraud and other certain issues like that. They might investigate a little bit. So if it's true, if the stuff in there is true, then it could be a way that the asylum office finds out about those negative things. And yeah, then that could possibly negatively affect your case. But I would say more often than not, these are not true, and they're either not looked into at all, or if the asylum office looks into them, it's stuff that they can't really ever get a good feel for about whether it's true or not. And so it doesn't really get held against the person. Okay. All right. We've got a question from Mr. who says, hi, Brian. I applied for asylum 1 year ago. I'd like to force the government with a mandamus, but general opinion is that it's more likely waiting 3 to 4 plus years at least. Can I still do that? Is it possible? The question is whether you can sue the asylum office to force them to give you your interview through a mandamus lawsuit if you've only been waiting 1 year since you applied. I got to say, I agree with these folks that say 3 to 4 years. We're telling people right now 3 years. That you need to be waiting 3 years from the time that you applied to be in a pretty good position to have a good chance for success with forcing your interview through the lawsuit. If you apply at 1 year, the government's almost certainly going to fight you. They're going to say, nope, we don't agree to dismiss this. We're going to fight this one out. And there's a pretty good chance that the judge will disagree with you, that you'll lose. So I think the chances at 1 year for success are very low. Now, there's not a huge downside. Like if you want to try, really the worst thing that can happen is, you have to fight it out on paper in federal court, and that might take a year or more to fight that out. But it's not going to hurt your, if you have a lawyer, you're going to be paying a lawyer a lot for that. That's an expensive, hard thing to do, to fight a mandamus case to the end like that. But if you end up getting denied, that you lose that case, it's not going to hurt your underlying asylum case. That's the good news. It won't prejudice your case or make it more likely that you will lose your underlying asylum case. So the downside, the potential risk, is not great of going ahead and trying. But the chance for success is very low at 1 year. It's so low that I would say don't do it. I'd say wait till 3 years. You might be, maybe there's something going on in your life that would justify an expedite request based on urgent humanitarian concerns. That's something that you should think about and talk with an asylum lawyer about. Good question over here. We've got Sierra says, how long should a country conditions report be? Thanks for the question. So the question is, how long should the country conditions report or reports that you include with your asylum materials be? And first of all, let's back up. What are country conditions reports? Well, these are reports from things like NGOs or governments, or maybe newspaper articles, basically stuff that's out there from respected, credible sources that talks about the conditions in your country. And you can use these to sort of back up your case. Like, say, for example, you're from Iran and you converted from Islam to another religion in the United States, and you're afraid of going back because you could be harmed because of that. Well, at present, probably no one knows that you've even converted, or maybe they do, but it's unlikely the government's out there thinking, oh, when they get back, we're going to get them. You're not on anyone's radar, probably. But if you went back, there's a pretty good chance you'd be persecuted because of this, even though right now, at the time you're applying for asylum, you're not like in grave danger. You're not on anyone's list right now. Well, you got to use country conditions information to show that, look, anyone like me is at risk. I fit the profile of people who are widely persecuted in my country, okay, because they possess this characteristic that I possess. In this example, it would be your religion. So that's how you use country conditions information or country conditions reports. How long should it be? Well, there's no sort of set number or length for this, but I'll tell you that for our clients, we write a legal brief, right, where we explain how they qualify for asylum. And in that brief, we cite to country conditions reports, and we quote from them, and we use them to develop our arguments in different aspects, different parts of the legal brief. And then we include behind the legal brief, we include the reports that we've cited to in the brief, and we highlight the relevant language that we're citing to, or that we're talking about, or that we've quoted, to make it easy to find. And we do this in an indexed fashion, so that like our whole filing, this supplemental filing, goes from page 1 is like the declaration, and then of the client, and then that's 3 to 5 pages, and then starting at page 5 or 6 is evidence that's like specific to their case. And then starting at page 65 is the first page of the country conditions reports that we cite to. And then that goes on for however many pages. You don't really want to submit thousands of pages. I would say not even hundreds of pages. It should be less than that. You're going to overwhelm the officer if you just submit tons and tons and tons of country conditions reports. And also, to be honest with you, unless you pull out the most important parts and show them those most important parts in a different format outside of the reports themselves, they're probably not going to read your country conditions reports. They don't have time to like read through a 30-page report or a 50-page report or even like a 15-page report. So that's why we put this in our legal brief. And then we do actually highlight in the accompanying country conditions the exact parts that are relevant, that are helpful to our case, just in case the officer does flip back through there and want to see where it's at. But if you just dump a bunch of country conditions reports on an asylum officer or an immigration judge, they're not going to read them. It's not going to help you, okay? You should really honestly get a lawyer to help you with that aspect of your case. All right? All right. This is a good question. Again, from you upstairs, was the last question. Do we need to submit scanned copies of all 32 pages of our passport? Because it says cover to cover. You're right. The instructions for the asylum application form I-589, I think they do still say something about cover to cover, or there's some language that makes it sound like, yeah, you should submit every page. But I got to tell you, we don't do that. No, I don't. I just do the data page, or the 2 pages, the first 2 pages when you open it up with like your picture and the other data on it. Actually, and if you came on a US visa, I would do any pages that have a US visa as well. So it's not technically in compliance with the instructions. I recognize that, but that's what we do. I'm not telling you what you should do, but I'm telling you what I do for my clients. There's just no need to have all that. It is true that sometimes it will be relevant for the officer. They do want to see other pages, like they might want to see your travel history, because it can have implications for several things, like the 1-year filing deadline, but also for possible return to your country after you said you had fled out of fear. There are reasons why they will want to sometimes see other pages or all the pages, but you're going to take your passport with you to the interview, and they're going to ask to see it. And if they want to, they can make copies of it there. That happens pretty infrequently, such that I don't think it's worth going and copying every page. And also that just makes for a longer asylum application packet, which you don't want. I was saying a second ago that bearing the officer in country conditions information is not helpful. Well, in general, the more pages that you have in your filing, the worse, to be honest with you. Well, it shouldn't be like 3 pages. You got to put stuff in there, which I've explained at length, but just burying someone in paper is not helpful. Very often when an asylum officer sees a big old thick pile, they just go, oh, too hard, and they just don't seriously consider it. Okay, you're not going for volume and weight of papers. So yeah, no, I would not do cover to cover. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you for being with us on the Asylum Answer Show. I'm Brian Manning, and go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule quickly and easily an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals, so we can help you secure your future in the United States through asylum. All right. Until next time, winasylum.com, and I'll see you later on